congruent. I just send them. And they asked me, Mr. Ma, could you help me get an internship? So even before he entered Harvard as a freshman, I got him an internship working in New York City for Google. How cool is that? The year after, he worked for Facebook, because I connected him directly with Sheryl Sandberg. I've been feeding her some resumes of some of my best students, and talked to a senior vice president in Google. By the way, that's a part of what I could do too. Not for all kids, but for some kids, really. These international connections that I have to get them into some internships, right? But that's not the thing. I typically don't like to give fish to kids. I prefer to teach how to fish, which is much more valuable. Only if really necessary, I give you a fish, okay? That's one example. Another example is, freshman. She got into Harvard Early Action this season, right? Spectacular kid. Oh my God, I love this kid.
Mr. Ma, yes, my name is Hendrik, and I'm very impressed with your presentations. My question is, I have two daughters, and they're 5 years old and 8 years old, maybe a bit too early to join the program. My question is, you coach children from all over the world. There are some competitive countries like Hong Kong, Singapore. They have a grilling system for academic excellence. But in Indonesia, we have a different system. I mean, our education system maybe not as tough as in those competitive countries. Do we still have a chance if we live there? I mean, our kids still go to school, high school in Jakarta?
Okay, I totally get your question. Great question. Absolutely. In fact, in a way, it's good. See, the universities, they'll be the judge by themselves, right? Whether you're AP or IB or local school system. They'll be the judge because they take your contexts, they take your situations, and then they will map it to the equivalency on how they see things. And if you're one of the few kids they want to admit, and they never admitted kids from your school before, to them actually they might like that. You get my point? So no matter what, you still have to build strong fundamentals academically, study skills, reading skills, and all that. Because once you go to a top school in university or liberal college, it's very rigorous, okay? And some crazy professors want you to read 1 or 2 books per week. And you have this stack of books per week and all that. So you better be fundamentally well-trained, right? That's a part of what I do, is to coach kids and to even coach them on specifics on how to overlay what they're not getting from the high schools or middle school or elementary schools. So you get it outside, okay? What, where, with whom, for whom, why, right? How much, right? I'll leave the how much to you guys. But I get very granular. And each meeting I have, even though your kid's a kiddie, 11-year-old, I have this meeting report. The next time we meet, we update over the meeting report. It's a strategic framework right in front of us, the dashboard. And it's so clear, it's a bird's eye view. And sometimes it takes months or quarters or maybe a year and a half to condition that. Depends on the kid. Some kids change very quickly. Some kids take 2 years to change. And once they change, they go, Mr. Ma, oh my gosh, I woke up finally. I woke up, I really want to succeed. Okay? Take them from spending 5 hours a day playing World of Warcraft, Call of Duty, okay, maybe serving pornography, some boys do that, and condition them so that they spend no more than 1 hour consistently. Huge, huge accomplishment. Oftentimes I look at parents, they look at me, I could tell through nonverbal communication, they are crying for help. I see that all the time. They're doing the best they can. Yes, they are helpful to some ways, but there's only so much you can do. You're busy too. Sometimes you actually don't want to get blamed by kids. All sorts of dynamics, right? So it depends on the family, depends on the kid. Okay? So I wouldn't worry too much about that. But at the same time, let's say that your school that you go into is not that academically rigorous here. For your age, 5 years old and 8 years old, is it? Okay? Make sure they are building strong academics. It's still the most important thing, the fundamentals, okay? The reading skills, a whole bunch of things too, outside of school, not just in school. Okay? Next question. So here's what's happening. Let me give you a hint, okay? Here's what's happening. All right, December comes for a private school. Okay, public school is a little bit different, right? All right, then the admission officers start reading applications. And they might want to interview some kids, right, based on the school. There are different policies. Each school's a bit different too.
And then these admission officers, there may be 10 of them, 12 of them. If it's real large school, maybe 20 or something like that. I don't know, depends on the school, maybe a few, or maybe a handful based on the school. All right, they're fresh, but they have to keep on reading and reviewing lots and lots of applications every single day. Sometimes they will read up to 100 essays, okay, and dozens of applicants per day in, day out. Sometimes they work right through Christmas, maybe a day or two off, but typically work right through for 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks. Do you think after 3, 4 weeks or whatever, they're going to be very patient people, sipping English high tea, and read every application? 2 readers read that end to end? Do you think that happens? They're human beings. Things don't work like that. Here's what's happening. After a while, these guys get so irate, get so impatient, get so numb, because they're human beings, okay? They're under a lot of pressure. They're under a lot of stress. Oh my gosh, so many high achievers, who do I choose? Most of them is going to get rejected, right? And it's going to go through these rounds of playoffs, okay? What happens at quick rejects for a lot of applicants? And then these borderline kids make it to the next round of playoff, and then the next round. Depends on the school, right? And then some internal debate. My kids are better because of this and this. And then, so they compete against each other sometimes, okay? So part of what I do is to help you kids literally sell yourself, market yourself, right? And so how interesting are you? How do you stand out? What can I say about you in a cocktail party? Am I going to talk about your SAT scores or grades? No, that makes me look stupid. Because a lot of kids are high scores and high grades, right? But how do you stand out? So I'm not going to tell you what activities are right, based on the situation. Does it make sense? Some context, if they have some special relationships, right? But if you overdo that, it actually annoys them. Oh my God, not out of it, right? So, and then ended up for the kids that are really borderline, and then they make a team decision. The gatekeeper might be the dean. And it depends on, you know, and very wealthy families, maybe certain connections might help a little bit based on the situation. So a lot of, it's all situational, you see. Does that sort of indirectly answer your question? So activities could be in the school, within the school domain. It's actually a very small domain. The community is much greater, isn't it? Your neighborhood, your city, your country, international, online. One example is one of my many favorite students. I got lots of favorite students, right? So she's going to Bowdoin now. She got to Berkeley and all that. Bowdoin is one of the very top tier liberal arts colleges here. In her freshman year, she got some D's and some C's because she has this massive fight with family, with her mom, and her mom got divorced a long time. She even ran away from home for a few days and came back and slept in the streets. It's really amazing. And then they decided to move to a different school, go to a Christian private school, and then lived away from mom, and then started getting out counseling a couple of years before college applications. And she remember the first time she saw me, she would just cry, just dripping tears. Like some kids do that, right? It's okay. When parents see kids, you know, see counselors like me, the 1, 2, or 3 meetings, they cry. Oh, are you being too hard to them? No, they're just being kids. They're going through this initial withdrawal or interruption phase, which is a good thing. Go through the hump and move to the next phase. It's phase by phase, right? So in her case, because her grades moved up, and there's a clear justification for it, and she improved as a person, and powerful writer too, being only a fresh immigrant from Asia, but became a very powerful writer, and it just kind of blows me away. So that's a happy camper. And you know, and then sometimes if your grades drop like this for whatever, and then it goes up again, and if you have a real strong reason why, maybe your mom and dad got cancer, you have to spend this half year every single day 4 hours in the hospital, then it takes away from your time and energy in studying or whatever, right? You write about that, it shaped you to be a better person. That's justifiable.
Mr. Ma, I believe that when you first entered top-notch university in the States, you were experiencing or facing cultural differences, cultural gap, or even cultural shock. So my question is, how could you overcome that problem and transform yourself into a very successful US citizen, Hong Kong origin. And my second question is, why prominent people like Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, even they drop out from university, but they could become a very successful CEO entrepreneur? Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Well, I always feel that I'm still not successful because to me, continuous learning and continuous improvement and innovation is core within my value system. Just like what my friend and mentor, Dr. Bill Miller, he's 85 years old. He still travels internationally on business on a monthly basis. Amazing. I even wrote an essay about him, about values and friendship. You know, my family, frankly speaking, is a very humble family. And my parents, my dad retired as a janitor. My mom retired as a seamstress. So I came from a very financially humble family. Through teenage years, I even helped my mom do sewing. He brings home work from Chinatown, from the factory. I helped her. I even became an expert seamstress. I sewed my pants. My dad was also an addictive gambler. My mom and dad had major issues for decades and decades. Okay? But that was not hardship. My sister went through hardship. She was forced to work day and night, and she skipped school for 1 year when she was 13 years old. Very tough. And we lived away from her for 6 years. Anyway, I'm not going to spend too much time on that. I actually spent time living in the South Pacific, close to Indonesia, for 6 years as a little kid, in a little former Australian colony called Nauru, when I was 1 to 4 years old, 6 to 9 years old. But I guess back then, when I was in my, it was 1973, when I moved to the States at age 11, things were much easier back then. Things were more relaxed. Today's environment, things are much more competitive. When I got into Berkeley, and I was probably one of the luckiest kids within my friends. I got into Berkeley, a lot of them did not get into the top school. I was a decent student, and I tried hard, I worked hard, I get decent habits, nothing perfect. I didn't get into much activities, but today, if I don't do that, I'm immediate rejection, right? So the context was quite different. But I've always believed in strong work ethic. If there's one thing I learned from my parents, even though, frankly speaking, I learned absolutely zero from my dad, okay? But if there's something that I've observed and learned from him, is I really admire his incredible work ethic. Punctual, does a great job all the time, all the colleagues like him, even as a custodian, as a janitor. Same for my mom, the Cantonese immigrant mentality. So my parents and myself were immigrants. We have this hungry immigrant mentality. My mom, of course, I'm the oldest son of 3 kids, older sister, younger brother, so I get the highest pressure, no problem, I'm always good with pressure. In today's context, getting a great education, and getting the inter-student learning, okay? Getting that liberal arts, creative, lateral thinking training, education in the States or Western, combined with the Asian discipline, is a very powerful force. The way I think about things is, you folks know about G20, G8, right? The 8 or 20 most powerful nations in the world. G2 is an informal term for America and China, right? I am part of a G2. I'm immigrant Chinese and I'm American. I don't think of myself as a Chinese American. I think of myself as 2 persons in one, right? Because I can empathize with your values very clearly. It's an immigrant Chinese, Asian, Indians, Asians, Koreans are actually very similar in family values. Right? Going back to the past, that's a past. Today's environment is very different. Every year or 2 years, I tell you, the US elite universities, it's a different context every 2 years. That's how competitive things are getting right now. Okay? So be realistic, but have a dream, have a vision. Okay? And also be a kind critic too. To me, I'm a combination dreamer, visionary, and a pragmatist or realist, and also a healthy self-critic. I ask for critique all the time from my advisors and from friends, because they help me save me time, right? I know exactly what to change. And I see lots and lots of hunger still, you see. So people are not, and a lot of these very successful people, they are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, right? When they got successful, it was in a very different context.
So it's smart to put yourself in the right context. Just like this gentleman, you mentioned about, hey, do you have to worry? Your kid is going to a local school. It's not a Singaporean, Hong Kong, crazy UK, London, Silicon Valley, New York, a tough school. I wouldn't worry too much about that, but make sure you do supplement with the right thing, okay?
Thank you for coming to this evening's session, and we hope that you learned a lot.
Thank you so much.